everyone. On today's episode of Huber Hype, we're talking about Shenmue. It's a reality. The dream has come real. Shenmue 3 is happening no matter what. Kickstarter goal has been reached. So on today's episode of Huber Hype, we are going to revisit the series of what makes it so special. Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2. Let's dive in. First up, story. One of the most intimate, emotional, and gutsy stories ever conceived for a video game. So Shenmue, the series, was planned as an 11-chapter saga. The entirety of Shenmue 1 is chapter 1. That gives everything just time to breathe and time to build. It lays the groundwork. You are Ryo Hazuki and you come home to see your father brutally murdered in front of you by a man named Lon D. Now, the craziest thing about this is how little you know about anything. You are following the breadcrumbs. Everything is revealed to you mysteriously and slowly. In fact, you don't know who the hell Lon D is. And he's the main villain of this game. That's the only time you see him. You go through an entire 15, 20-hour game without ever resolving anything, without ever getting vengeance, and without ever encountering the man who killed your father. So here I am, like 12 years old, I want vengeance. I'm sitting on my living room floor. I'm like, damn it, Lon D! You're going down! Gotta wait for Shenmue 2 to continue this journey. When Shenmue 2 comes out, I'm already so invested. I mean, I don't even look at it like it's a sequel. It's an extension. The entire saga is just Shenmue. With a great story comes great characters. You have Ine-san, your housekeeper. You'll come home at odd hours of the night late. It's like 11 p.m. the next morning. She'll guilt trip you. She'll say, you know, Ryo, could you please come home early next time? I really worry about you. This character has a soul. She physically and emotionally cares about you. Fuku-san is nervous for you to take revenge. Tom is just a jolly, happy-go-lucky best friend. Nozomi clearly loves you, but is afraid to say anything. All of these characters have so much depth and detail, and depending on how much you put into those relationships, your entire perception of all of these characters will change on a player-to-player basis. Next up is life. We said that each character feels so real, but it's not even only about the characters, it's about the town itself. So, Shenmue 1, it's your home. It's where you've lived your whole life. It's where you grew up. So everything is more familiar. You go to your local shops, people know you on the street, you have neighbors. It's just a small, tight-knit, cozy community. And then you go to Shenmue 2, which takes you to Hong Kong. And that feeling that Ryo has, that fish out of water, I don't know where the hell I am, this is a foreign country feeling, translates to the player. Every time I'm playing that game, I'm like, where am I? This place is cold. Who are these people? Everyone's trying to take advantage of me. Just chaos. Next up, a super important one is patience. First of all, planning multiple games, that requires patience. I mean, when going into it, when you realize, all right, well, this is only chapter 1 of 11 planned chapters, settle in. Set the tone right out of the gate. Certain quests in the game are time sensitive, so you'll get a lead on some sailors that know information about the certain criminal organization that has ties to Lon D. And they frequent this bar at around, 7 or 8 p.m. You have to wait for that bar to open. It might be noon, There is no speed up time mechanic in certain situations of the game. So just having to actually wait out time for a certain place to open, it just sucks you into this world. Again, it just builds off the reality that everything in this game is alive and meaningful. You have to kill some time, so what do? You go down to the local arcade and you play some games, or you go up by your house, go to the shop, get some cat food and feed it to the cat. Entirely optional. So perhaps the biggest and the most important about patience is Lon D himself, okay? Back to this. Back to that slimy, nefarious Lon D. You see him in the very beginning of Shenmue 1, Chapter 1, okay? Then Chapter 2 is a brief couple-page comic book about the journey to Hong Kong. And then Shenmue 2 is Chapters 3 through 5. So here we are, nearly halfway through this saga, this grand saga. Once again, after another, 20, 30 hours, however long it may be, once again, Lon D slips through your fingers. Patience. You haven't even had an encounter with him yet. There has been no blows exchanged. And we're still waiting. Not much longer. So at a certain point, you realize, you gotta get to Hong Kong. That's where the Lon D is, the Chi-Yu Min, basically. There's this underground Akatsuki Chinese mafia. You have to get a plane ticket. You gotta get there. The plane ticket is so much money. You've been getting allowance. There's no way you're gonna be able to pay for this plane ticket. You try to borrow money. Fukusan gives you every cent he has. It's putting value on that. It's not enough. You gotta get a job. I mean, even if you're busting your ass on the docks as a cargo forklift driver, moving all the boxes you can, you're like freaking speed racer out there, moving all these boxes, getting the maximum amount of cash, it's still futile. I mean, there are some story details that eventually remedy that. But you're out on the docks for weeks. This is a huge portion of this game where you're just working. You're working to get to the next game. And that is gutsy storytelling, and it just further fuels my freaking hatred for Lon D, making me bust my ass at the docks. Lastly, Jolly, Lucky Hit. Featured in Shenmue 2, the single greatest minigame to ever grace anything in the universe. Lucky Hit. Where's my mobile app of Lucky Hit? Man, you think Hearthstone is addicting. So Lucky Hit sounds easy enough. You drop a little ball down a bunch of, pins in a board, and you gotta nail the bullseye to get the cash. Well, since Shenmue is so awesome and they put a value and a meaning on every single item in the entire game, money is valuable. Money means something. You need to pay people off to get information. You need to, or not to, pay your landlord for the room you rented at the hotel. You can get a part-time job in all these different stands and play these mini games. I mean, Shenmue 1 has darts, it has Space Harrier, it has Outrun. These are games that Yu Suzuki himself has worked on. Shenmue 2 has Afterburner. That idea of a video game inside of a video game, I mean, as a kid, that was just the coolest thing ever. I would just go to the arcade within the game. I don't need to go down to the arcade in real life. I'm gonna go there in Shenmue. I'm gonna play these games. Just that entire concept blows my mind. And, you know, they just took it to the next level into, you know, you're not in your little cozy Japanese village now. You're in Kowloon Walled City, where gangsters rule the streets. You better bring some cash to play some lucky hit or high-low. So like everything in Shenmue, meaning, value, there are gameplay moments that are built around lucky hit and that are built around gambling. Having to make enough money to go into the high-stakes gambling den where people have valuable information. I mean, it isn't just a little side deviation or a checklist. It's fundamentally integral to the entire game and the culture.
Too bad. Maybe you should go home.
So that's it. Those are just some of the reasons that make Shenmue magical. It is something that I cannot even express through my hype. It is something that needs to be felt. It has a feeling to it that just goes through the controller into your very mind, body, and soul. There is life, there is magic, there is a meaning and a purpose to everything you do. Video games now still have a hard time of capturing the soul of these characters and this town and this mission. Never have I wanted vengeance so much than for Ryo Hazuki. He's had a tough life. He still doesn't know what the hell's going on. But we will have answers soon. Shenmue 3 is coming. It's been a 15-year-long road. Sega Dreamcast to original Xbox to PS4. This is not about allegiances. This is not about console wars. This is about a journey, a story. And Yu Suzuki's mission to tell it. So we had some time off because of the E3 of Dreams. And then I went on a little vacation to Chicago. First time I had been there. Beautiful city. But in the meantime, there were some comments about the E3 episode. Hal Cato says, LOL kind of sums up how awesome this E3 was. We all forgot about Phantom Pain. Honestly, my number one anticipated of the year, the culmination of Big Boss's story, forgot all about it. Next up, Liquid Jordan Huber. I was hoping for a special E3 2015 edition of Huber's Q. Come on, man. Stay tuned in about 45 seconds. Lastly, Maestro NL. Never give up hope. Half-Life 3 will happen next year then. Are you watching, Gabe Newell? Did you watch E3, Gabe Newell? That is how you do it. That is how you make people weep, you make people have hope, and you give people what they want. Coming up on GameTrailers.com this week, the conclusion to our Shenmue 2 streams. We have been streaming Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 in their entirety, bits and pieces, for weeks and months. Now, on Friday, July 10th, we are going to play until the very end of Shenmue 2 on GameTrailers Twitch page, starting at 5 p.m. It's going to be emotional. So that's it. I am at Michael P. Huber. Feel free to discuss or ask me anything regarding the Shenmue series. Lastly, the Kickstarter is running out of time. Support it, raise awareness. Shenmue 3 is a reality that which we are lived in. Dreams are real, hope is real, if you just believe. Summer Reviews Q! Liquid Jordan asked for it, and he will receive the special E3 Huber's Q. In an E3 of dreams, it's time to go back and relive the magic. Play Ico. Play Shadow of the Colossus in preparation for The Last Guardian. Go back. Play Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2 in preparation for Shenmue 3. And lastly, Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and Crisis Core in anticipation for the remake of Dreams.